Right, so here is the message tab. If you're an operator, you're going to spend a lot of time here. We've all experienced, if you're a PadSplit user, you've experienced the inability to mark a message as unread or really do anything that you might like to do with messages. So for PadPulse, we solved all of your problems around messaging. First thing you need to know is that messages sync to PadSplit every 60 seconds. So you'll pretty much real time, you'll never miss a message, whether they are sent now or scheduled for later, will all be sent on time. With that said, on the left-hand side here, we have your conversations list. You can see various people and you'll see a badge right here if there is any open ones. You can click unread messages and it shows you only the unresolved messages here. You can undo that. You can also search for messages and it will find both people or messages that had a specific text. This is super helpful if you're trying to find something from the past. Maybe you want to find something about your washer or things like that. You can find every person who's ever said that message all time over the last 90 days, 30 days, or the last 7 days. That then will highlight it directly to here and it'll show you how many times it was said, and you can simply jump between the messages to highlight the various ones. So that's your search. Now on the right hand side, we have member detailed information. This allows you to see one, if you look on their full profile here, it'll take you to your member profile on your members page. I have a resolve all button. We'll see how there's unresolved messages that are here in these two colors. Ones that have been resolved are in white and show you when they were last resolved. And if you hover over them, it'll say which person on your team resolved them. On the right, we have that detailed information, right? So we have their contact information with their email, their phone number, what house they're in, the address, their room, their move-in date, their floor plan, their 3D tour links, Wi-Fi, what their lock is for their specific door, and when that lock was last opened. And then you have your live feed of your thermostats in the house. If you have more than one, they'll both show up here. All these are clickable to jump you to those various sections for editing or further review. You then have their vehicle information and their emergency contact information all readily available for you here. And again, here's a secondary way to get to that full profile, which is also linked at the top. A couple things from the actual conversation. I'm going to show you how you click these and you can drop these over to increase the width of your page. So you'll notice a couple of unique functions here. One, we have a message and you can simply click resolve. That will then change the color and mark it as resolved by who did it. You can see here you can show only unresolved or only threads, and which are hotkeys on your keyboards. And so here is, you can show or unhide all. And then T will expand your threads. So as an example, if I hit T to expand threads, this shows me any message in the whole chat and expands my threads. So if you're familiar with other tools where you can kind of talk internally underneath a message, that can be done here. Underneath any message, you can click add internal threads. You can simply put an @ symbol and you can tag somebody and put a message and send. They'll get a notification, the bell on the top right of their page on their profile, and they'll be able to jump directly back here to respond to you. This is super helpful if you have team members to training and they don't exactly know how to respond or don't know what to do in a situation. They can tag a manager. So that's threads. You can easily edit or delete your messages there. Second, from these 3 dots that are on a message on the left-hand side, here's all your actions. So you can push and assign a ticket to a maintenance ticket. You can connect it to an existing maintenance ticket. You could set a due date for a message. You could assign a message to a team member who needs to respond. You can mark it as unresolved if you didn't mean to resolve it, and that will simply change the color. Or you have the start the internal thread. So that's all the options on an inbound message. You can see here that once you put items on it, you'll see there's a badge for a ticket, so you can easily see what that's associated with. And if there's more than one message associated with the ticket, so in this case, these were linked to an existing, you'll see both messages on here. If I click this, it'll open directly to the task ticket where you can see more information and edit that. Well, that'll be covered in another video underneath the tasks panel, which is in operations here. On the right-hand side from a sent message, you can see there's a badge for awaiting reply. So an example might be you send a message asking a question and you expect a response or you need a response. You can currently come in and click on any 3 dots and hit awaiting reply, or you can clear that reply. These will then show up on your dashboard over here on this page for a dashboard card of awaiting a reply. So it gives you a nice, easy way to see everything you've been maybe waiting on. And then if somebody was tagged, you'll see a purple message on that was tagged from a message here. And if you assign a message, say we assign it to a team member and we make it to Camille, she'll also have her own tag. I can then come in here and hit resolve all, and it will resolve all the pages. If I didn't mean to do that, I can click on undo right here in the bottom, and it will undo that. A couple other super helpful things. If you're sending a message, you can type on the bottom right-hand corner, right behind, there's the send button, which is hiding behind our chat in case you have any questions. You can click schedule for later, and you can set this to go out at a different date or a different time. Note that it's going to be based off your given time zone, not the time zone of the property. So on the left, we have your normal attachments, and you can have canned messages. So if you have canned messages, which I'll show you how to set up, you simply select your canned message. So you can have saved templates that you or your team uses often, and it will autofill items like their name or their property or their room, things like that. So let's first go to settings, and I'll show you these are rules and canned responses. So for canned responses, like we were just looking at, this is where you can set up your own responses for various items and have dynamic placeholders about how you want to include. You can build out your own titles. You can set your own categories, create your own categories, which just makes it easier for your team to find them. Also within usage insights here, you can see which team members are using, which will help you to understand where you're being helpful, and maybe ones that you don't need any longer, or ones that you should add. That's your canned messages, and you can manage your different categories right here. Let's go to rules next. So rules, you have all rules, enabled rules. Enabled rules in this case, if you're setting up a new rule, name a rule, you select what properties you want that rule to pertain to. And then there's a few different rule types. Currently, event-based messages, those are based off like a new booking. So if a new booking comes in, you will send that out immediately to the person who triggered it, and you want to send it automatically and send it immediately. Other options might be to send it 5 minutes later if you don't want it to seem instantaneous. Generally, bookings you would, but you can delay these for various times, including multiple days, depending on what you would like to do. So this is helpful to build out different automation sequences where you might send based on a booking request, or say a move-in, you could choose one immediately and one, a day later and 5 days later as an example. You could also, in certain scenarios, set it to every person of the property to receive a message based on the event. And so there's a lot of different options you can do here. Many of these are coming soon as they're in testing. New booking is kind of the main one that works at this time. Depending on when you see this video, there could be many others that are working. Down here, there's also a review before sending. This probably usually isn't an event-based message. Actually, you might use this where it will actually draft the message. So this is more so if it starts to invoke the AI enhancement. So there's different knowledge bases throughout our application for both the property and your business as a whole that will help draft a response. We highly recommend that you should only use these as drafts until you've seen the same thing kind of come through multiple times before you ever turn an AI message into an automated response, as it can quickly get out of hand and potentially provide a bad experience for your members. That's event-based. Schedule-based are pretty obvious. You can set this. This one might be like a weekly reminder to take out trash, and it goes out every Thursday at 8 p.m. as an example. Note that this does have a time zone option, so you can pick what is the property's time zone or any given time. Typically, property time zone is going to be the one to go with, and this requires the time zone to be set on the properties page, which is over here under my properties here. So make sure you have that set in your first page property settings. You can also add an attachment. So maybe you're sending a scheduled message or an event-based message, and you want to add an attachment to that. You can do so, and that will be sent out. Up here is where you write your actual message content. I'll go back and show you one that's already written, such as a booking request. Here's a booking request template. You can see we send this to all 18 properties. It's event-based, based on new booking, only goes to the right person that triggered it. Send automatically and send immediately. And then we have some dynamic information with their name and what we provide. We then provide a link to our booking form, which is over here under members and booking requests. You want to make sure that you set up that. It's an internal form, which will allow you to approve or deny a member from PadPulse later. We then typically here we can fill dynamic information about the property street address, which leaves out the actual numbers so that they can check location. That's just typically how we do it on our side. Lastly, underneath the rules, depending on when you're watching this, this may or may not be live, but incoming messages is where we pick up key phrases and we have AI reviews it and drafts a response. You might say something like, when somebody says they're locked out, this is how you should respond. Again, if you're going to have AI respond, we highly recommend only using the review before sending, and it will appear into drafts, which takes me back to where drafts appear here and scheduled messages appear here. Any scheduled message that's scheduled that will happen over the next 7 days, you'll be able to see it here. You'll be able to see one for every single member if they're going to send it to the whole house. and you can reschedule them individually or cancel them individually if you need to. Lastly, broadcast messages. So if you're going to broadcast, this would be like a whole house message. Maybe you want to send it to multiple properties, and when you do so, it would show all messages or all members of those houses. You can then deselect them all or select them all and undo a couple people. On PadSplit, you can simply say take off people that are in eviction, which that status is a little hard to understand what exactly that means. So this is a little more granular control, and effectively it's going to send a message individually to every person, which would be great because then you could use dynamic placeholders to make the message more unique, and it would fill in their name and things like that. There'll be an insert a dynamic placeholder here when you see this. And that's pretty much a wrap. Messages is very robust. There's a lot of things. You can always sort by any particular property to only see people that are in one property, such as this, or you could sort by a property group to only see properties that are all grouped under a specific owner, or any other way that you want to group properties. Again, a guide will walk you through every step. Every section has a guide, and looking forward to seeing how PadPulse can change the way that you speak to your members. Thank you.